This time on Crafting Today, we meet Fiona Hutchinson, who has been crafting with textiles since she was at college.
If you love it, do it, Tapestry is known as the slow art form. It's never easy to sell artwork, but it's not easy to sell tapestries because they take so long and they are a very expensive medium. But do what you love. My aim when I started college was to be a fashion designer. I'd always made and stitched since I was a small child, taught by parents and great aunts, and loved textiles, and so that was the career route. So on attending Edinburgh College of Art, my plan was to be a fashion designer. In your first year you got to try out various different departments, and one of them was tapestry, and I just got hooked. I don't know what it was, whether it was the total freedom to express what I wanted, not to follow any particular seasonal trend that happened in the fashion world. It was like painting, so it was like expressing your own ideas but using textiles, threads, yarns, and I just fell in love with it, became obsessed with it, and that was that.
Tapestries woven in renowned European centres such as Brussels or Antwerp are among the most valuable testimonies of European cultural heritage. During his reign, King Henry VIII amassed an unrivaled collection of tapestries, numbering more than 900 pieces.
So tapestries, it's a strange word, tapestry, because it's become synonymous with large textile wall hangings. And of course, for most people, the most well-known tapestry is the Bayeux tapestry, which actually is not a tapestry at all, it's a crewel work embroidery. So we have, in textiles, we have two areas. We call something like the Bayeux tapestry is an applied textile. So you're taking an ordinary fabric and you're applying a design to it, so you're stitching into it. Whereas tapestry, you're actually constructing. Traditional French style Gobelin tapestry, you're constructing the textile and the design. So you have a warp and a weft, and you build the design in. So it's more of an object, and you're creating the fabric and the design at the same time. So going back to historical tapestries, there were very large tapestries woven in the 13th, 14th, 15th century, big hunting scenes, scenes of religious text, and they were all commissioned by the great and the good for their castles, their chateaux. So these were kind of cultural pieces as well as works of art. Today in contemporary tapestry, you're getting a lot of artists beginning to use textiles as a medium now, and they are working with their own ideas and their own thoughts, not quite so much to commission, but for their own expression.
Large-scale historic tapestries were often created by famous workshops and weaving dynasties, and sometimes took years to complete. But wooden looms had to be custom-made for each project, which still is the case today. In fact, many of the basic methods of tapestry making haven't changed very much over the centuries.
Yeah, so the tapestry is constructed, it's what's called a plain weave, and the warps are the structure in which you interlace the weft. The warps are like the bones and the weft is like the flesh, and as you build your tapestry, you're building the design into it. And the scale of the warp and the weft, whether it's fine or thicker, will depend on the tapestry design and how much detail. Textiles is supposedly assumed to be females' work, but traditionally in the ateliers and studios, women would not be allowed to weave, they would not be allowed to be a member of the guild. It was all men. You might be allowed to weave the edge or the background, but traditionally weaving was a male thing. It's really only coming into the early 1900s that women were beginning to work in some of the studios. Women were being more recognised more as artists in textiles. It's probably there. It's probably a cultural thing. Textiles thought of as domestic, but I think in all art forms women have not been allowed to really come to the fore, you know. Whilst the women stayed at home and brought up the children, their husbands went on to have a very good painting career, and it's only when the children have grown up that the women get to come back into the field. So I think it's across the art forms. Maybe there's just more connection with it being textiles and but don't let that stop you.
Fiona is taking all of her knowledge and is using it to educate the next wave of tapestry artists.
I taught for a short time with Edinburgh University, and I really enjoyed working with students. Doing the research in order to teach them inspired me, and seeing what they did also inspired me and encouraged me to explore and play around with different mediums. So for me, teaching is a two-way thing. Hopefully I inspire them, help them develop their careers, but also they inspire me to try new things and approach things in a different way.
I'd done a course in textile design with the Open College of Arts, and one of the modules was a weaving module, and I became quite interested in weaving, and so I think I just searched the internet for a class in Edinburgh, and she had one which was time convenient, and so that's how I came across Fiona.
So I had been wanting to do something creative for quite a few years. I bought myself a rigid heddle loom and I did a couple of pieces, but then I wanted to join a group and get into tapestry because I was reading more about the different types of weaving. And I came across Fiona on a website, and I thought it was a year-long course with a few different kind of weekends, and joined that project. It was very good.
So as an artist, it's all about developing your ideas and what you want to express. It can be, you know, it doesn't have to be, you know, earth-shattering messages and statements, but it's a very personal thing. I'm a very keen sailor and I've spent a lot of time on the water. And it's just everything about the sea, the sense of freedom, the sense of light, the energy, the power. And then to kind of supplement that, I've been reading a lot about wave movements and sailing expeditions and journeys and voyages, just anything to do with the sea and the water. And then that feeds back into my work in a visual way.
One of the things about the past year when I've been working with Fiona, it's very much opened up possibilities for me about actually being seen as an artist, that you can just take random items, random media and create an artwork, and from that try and transfer it into a tapestry. I'm now much more open to going out and walking in the environment and sort of perhaps doing a little frame of something and thinking, how would I weave that?
I almost see weaving as it's almost like an archaeology in a sense, not because you're kind of delving into something and then it becomes visible.
I find that tapestry for me is also a space to kind of escape to. It's a healing process as well, I think, as well. So it's a quiet place, but you can, it's a little bit like gardening actually, where you can go and kind of lose yourself in the detail, but also the big picture at the same time.
It's a way of discovering. So you sit down with a small piece of warp on the loom and you weave a little bit in columns, you'll miss warps. You do that thing where, what if I did this, what would happen? So you don't quite always know what's going to happen, but that playfulness is a way to discovering new ways of working for me.
Next time on Crafting Today.